Welcome to my channel, where today we'll be discussing the life of Lelouch v Britannia. This should go without saying, but this video will contain spoilers over the Code Geass anime, so if you've not yet seen the series, I highly recommend that you go and watch the anime before continuing this video. Also, all the information that I'll be discussing can be found within the Code Geass fan wiki page. The links are in the description. With that being said, let's jump right into the life of Lelouch. Starting off with Lelouch's character history, Lelouch is a handsome and intelligent son of the Emperor Britannia, Charles V Britannia, and the late imperial consort Maria v Britannia, as well as the 11th prince of the Holy Britannian Empire. After the assassination of his mother and crippling of his sister Nunali, he confronts his father over his apparent lack of concern. Offended by his impudence, the emperor exiles both him and his sister to Japan. In Japan, Lelouch spends his days with Nunali at the Kururugi shrine and meets Suzuku Kururugi, whom he befriends after some initial animosity. However, following Britannia's invasion of Japan, Lelouch and Nunali were forced to leave the Kururugi shrine and take refuge with the Ashford family, who were acquaintances of his late mother. As we move on to the events of the first season of the anime, Lelouch is introduced as a student of Ashford Academy, where he's a member of the student council, a brilliant thinker who's quite talented at chess, and lives with his younger sister Nunali and their maid Sayako Shinozaki at a house that's situated within the compounds of the Ashford Academy, where they are looked after by the Ashford family. It is not long after that Lelouch accidentally boards a truck being used by the Japanese resistance operatives, and within the truck is a capsule holding a person named Cici, who sacrifices herself to save him from the military forces trying to recapture her. And just when it seems as if her sacrifice was pointless, Cici suddenly touches his hand and offers him the power of kings, the mythical power of Geass. The Geass then manifests itself within him as a power of absolute obedience, which allows him to make people obey his orders without question. He soon uses this power to order the Britannian soldiers to kill themselves, and with his newfound ability, Lelouch begins his rebellion against the Empire, starting by killing his half-brother Clovis after extracting information about the murder of his mother, Maria. He would later go on to form the Order of Black Knights and take up the identity of Zero to lead them, becoming a revolutionary and gaining popular support amongst the people. The turning point in his rebellion comes when Euphemia Lee Britannia declares the region under Mount Fuji to be a specialized administrative zone of Japan, giving the Japanese people their name and country back, albeit in a much smaller area. This one action effectively destroys any possibility of the Black Knights rebellion, as acceptance would render them completely powerless and refusal would make them social pariahs. Lelouch then confronts her about this at the opening ceremony and tries to have her shoot him, hoping to make himself a martyr. However, when she says she plans to give up her royal title, he surrenders and agrees to work with her. Unfortunately, it is at this exact moment that his Geass permanently activates without him knowing, and an offhand comment about ordering her to kill the Japanese people causes Euphemia to do just that. Lelouch reluctantly kills her and uses this massacre as an excuse to spark the Black Rebellion, in which he declares Japan to be an independent nation and leads an attack on the Tokyo settlement. The attack goes well at first, but when Lelouch learns that Nunali has been kidnapped, he abandons the battle, leaving his forces helpless against a better organized Britannian military. Lelouch proceeds to make his way to Kaminejima to search for Nunali, but is confronted by Suzaku. Suzaku then exposes Zero Lelouch to Kallen, and as she attempts to protect him, Lelouch attempts to broker a truce for Nunali's sake. However, Suzaku, distraught over the death of Euphemia, refuses to listen. Angered by this, Lelouch draws his pistol and both he and Suzaku attempt to shoot one another, thus marking the end of the first season. However, as we progress toward the start of the anime's second season, we soon learn that it is set 1 year after the Black Rebellion, and Lelouch is once again a student at Ashford Academy. However, what has failed to be mentioned is following their attempts to kill one another, Suzaku captures Lelouch and turns him over to the Emperor. The Emperor then uses his Geass to rewrite Lelouch's memories, removing any knowledge of Zero, Nunali, or his royal heritage. In addition to that, the entire Academy student body also had their memories rewritten by the Emperor to maintain the lie, with Lelouch Lamperouge being assigned to Lelouch's younger brother. Lelouch's memories, however, are soon restored by Cici, and he resumes leadership over the Black Knights. Soon after, Nunali is appointed as the governor of Area 11, and she announces her plans to re-establish a special administrative zone of Japan. Lelouch then falls into a deep depression, since he would be impeding the wishes of his sister by continuing his rebellion. He nearly takes refrain from all operations until Kallen is able to stop him, and with the help of Kallen and the friends that he's made at Ashford Academy, Lelouch realizes that his mission no longer revolves solely around Nunali, but now concerns everyone. To solve both of his concerns, Lelouch then engineers the legal exile of the Black Knights by getting the Britannians to agree to exile Zero in exchange for bringing 1 million participants for Nunali's New Japan. By having them all dress as Zero, however, he forces Suzaku to exile them all rather than ordering a massacre. Within the midst of all the chaos, the Black Knights are able to escape to the Chinese Federation, where Lelouch begins to forge an alliance with the otherworld powers to create a force that rivals Britannia. He begins his operation by destabilizing the Chinese Federation and returning control to the Empress Tan Zi from the High Eunuchs. Whilst all of this was taking place, Catelyn had been captured during the battle, and Lelouch works to free her from their custody when he returns to Area 11, while having the Black Knights subdue any resistance. During his time in Area 11, Lelouch is targeted by Jeremiah Gottwald, now an assassin for the Geass Order. However, Jeremiah, in his search for Lelouch, unintentionally restores Shirley's memories, which had been previously erased by the king. It is not long after this that Lelouch discovers that Jeremiah's loyalty is to his mother, Maria Ney, and not Britannia. In addition to that, he finds Shirley, who has been shot by Rollo. Unable to directly retaliate against Rollo, a grief-filled Lelouch changes his plan to wipe out the entire order instead. During the assault, Vivi's immortality is passed to the Emperor, and Lelouch learns the true nature of his contract with Sisi, which is to take on her immortality as the Emperor has just done with Vivi. However, Sisi has decided to spare him of this fate by giving her immortality to the Emperor. Lelouch refuses to let her die unhappy and convinces her to live on, but the ordeal results in Sisi losing all of her memories after gaining the power of the Geass. Once Lelouch's new alliance, the United Federation of Nations, is formed, their first action is to liberate Japan. After learning that his father is still alive, Lelouch arranges a meeting with Suzaku in an attempt to convince him to help ensure Nunali's safety. However, troops soon interrupt the meeting to arrest Lelouch. Now convinced that Suzaku sold him out, Lelouch escapes with the help of Guilford, whom he used his Geass on earlier, and starts his attack on Tokyo. When Suzaku finally arrives in defense of the city, he attempts to warn Lelouch of an impending bomb, but Lelouch refuses to believe him. Suzaku is then forced to fire at will, under the influence of a command that Lelouch placed on him, destroying a large portion of the Tokyo settlement. As a result from the explosion, Nunali was now believed to be dead, and Lelouch, now heartbroken, drives off Suzaku in a grieving rage. This is only made worse when Schnitzel convinces the Black Knights to betray him by using the recorded evidence from his meeting with Suzaku, along with proof that he was responsible for the massacre that started the Black Rebellion. Rollo is then able to evacuate Lelouch at the cost of his own life, and despite their sibling connection being a lie, and Lelouch viewing Rollo as nothing more than trash for most of his life, in the end Lelouch valued Rollo in the same regard as Nunali and Shirley, and buries him properly, placing upon his grave a charm that Rollo always cherished. Lelouch then decides to go to Comune Island to defeat his father, using his Geass to cause an uprising amongst the Britannian military as a cover, and a bomb to destroy the elevator, trapping himself alongside the Emperor within the swords of Akasha. Now facing his father, Lelouch learns of the Emperor's full plan to destroy God, the collective unconsciousness of all of humanity, and remake the world in such a way that no one will be able to lie to one another, thereby creating peace. He also learns of the truth behind his mother's assassination, and that her soul has been able to live on through the Geass powers that Sisi had given to her prior to Lelouch. Furthermore, he learns that every action he has taken since obtaining the Geass power was planned out to find Sisi and complete the Ragnarok connection. Though conflicted at first, Lelouch realizes that their intentions are selfish, as they put their plans before the people, and the dead will be reunited with the living. Lelouch then denounces his parents' new world as nothing but a retreat into a deluded past, and concludes that what he wants for himself and the world is one where they have a future to look on to tomorrow. Fully awakening his Geass, Lelouch's request causes a severing of the Ragnarok connection and the absorption of his parents, dissolving them into oblivion for their selfishness. In spite of this, Charles' final words to Lelouch is that forsaking the world that he had envisioned will only make Schnitzel's a reality. 1 month later, he installs himself as the 99th Emperor of Britannia and appoints Suzaku as his Knight of Zero, and is finally able to set the stage for their plan, the Zero Requiem. As an emperor, Lelouch establishes himself as an ally of justice, dismantling the Britannian class system and freeing every colony while resorting to repression against those who may oppose him. However, these seemingly benevolent acts are nothing but a smokescreen for his intentions to take over the world as part of the Zero Requiem. After disposing of the last of the Britannian resistance, and knowing that he has to act before Schnitzel makes his move, Lelouch announces that Britannia intends to join the United Federation of Nations. And as Catelyn escorts him to the meeting, she tries to confront Lelouch about her feeling towards him, but Lelouch remains silent on the matter, even after she kisses him, not wanting to involve her any further. She then bids him farewell when it becomes clear that he won't respond, and Lelouch does the same once she walks away. Now at the meeting, Lelouch takes the council members hostage after it is revealed that Britannia's large population will give him the majority voting bloc. This brings him into direct conflict with Schnitzel and the Black Knights. However, the biggest surprise comes when Nunali is revealed to be alive and declares herself to be an enemy of Lelouch. Though initially reluctant, Lelouch is convinced that he must fight her for the sake of his plan. After successfully developing a countermeasure to the FLEIGA bomb, which is the bomb that was thought to have killed Nunali, And with the help of Suzaku, he's able to board the Damocles ship and outwit Schnitzel in his escape shuttle, placing him under the Geass' control and the command to serve Zero. Soon after, Lelouch comes to retrieve the FLEIGA control key from Nunali when she reveals that somehow she has managed to overcome her blindness caused by her father's Geass through her own willpower, as well as her plans to turn the Damocles into a symbol of hatred that would unite the world. After hearing of this, Lelouch uses her Geass to force her to relinquish the key, thus putting the Damocles under his control. With no one left capable of opposing him, Lelouch becomes the ruler of the world. 2 months later, Lelouch arranges for the public execution of the Black Knight's leaders and the United Federation of Nation representatives. However, Suzaku, disguised as Zero, interrupts and stabs Lelouch through the stomach, this being the culmination of the Zero Requiem as they had planned. By doing this, Lelouch was able to give his life to create a more peaceful world, as the only one left who was hated was Lelouch himself. He then gives Suzaku one final order, to discard his old identity and play the role of Zero for the rest of his life. And with his last breath, Lelouch finally declares that he has destroyed the world and created a new. The aftermath is then narrated by Callan, who states that Lelouch's actions did improve the world after he became the main focus for people's hatred, even though certain problems still remained. And while some people may regard Lelouch's end as a tragedy, I like to believe that the ending was actually a happy one, because Lelouch was able to create a better world for those that he left behind, and was finally able to succeed in his plans to unite the world. However, at the end of the day, how you interpret the events of Lelouch's life is up to you, but I hope that I have provided you with all the information that you will need to make that assertion for yourself. Well, there you have it, the life of Lelouch v Britannia. If you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed it or found it helpful, I would appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe, as it only takes a few seconds and would greatly help support my channel. In addition to that, if you have any questions and or characters or series that you would like for me to cover in the future, let me know down in the comment section and I'll do my best to reply to all of them. But with that being said, until next time, signing out.